We're joined now from Beirut by Marcel Baloji, a military and strategic expert. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Firstly, can you tell us a bit about Blinken's visit to Israel and it coinciding with Hezbollah's declaration of responsibility for the drone attacks on Netanyahu's residence? How could that affect the ceasefire talks that Blinken is participating in right now?
Can you repeat the question, please? Because
Yes, sure. I'm talking about Blinken's visit. It comes at the same time as Hezbollah declared responsibility for the drone attacks on Netanyahu's residence. How do you think this could affect ceasefire talks and Blinken's visit when it comes to participating in it right now?
First, good day to you and to your audience. The negotiations are deemed to fail since they started because of the Lebanese rejection on the amendment of 1701. 1701 is totally rejected by Israel, but the new amendments include 13 articles or 13 items. The first one is related to the Lebanese sovereignty. The first one is on the supervision on the sea. This is totally rejected. It's prohibited because all the operations should take place through the Lebanese army. There is also another item that says there should be an air supervision in the Lebanese sky to handle the dangerous targets which affects the Lebanese sovereignty. So if the agreement fails regarding the ceasefire or the implementation of 1701, the battlefield is the one that would decide. And now it's clear that the air invasion is still violent. Even after yesterday's negotiation, there are lots of big goals in Lebanon that are being targeted, especially the infrastructure of Hezbollah. The fighting is continuous and it increases. Hezbollah also increased its missiles against the occupied Palestinian territories. Hence, the battles are getting more violent and there's nothing in the horizon regarding the ceasefire. So there is a tendency for violent escalation.
Which kind of, sir, brings me to the next idea here. Since you talked about the escalations in general, we've seen in the last few weeks and maybe days an increase, and a tremendous increase when it comes to escalations, where the Israelis are targeting, bombarding much of South Beirut, in addition to the south of Lebanon generally, and Hezbollah responding back. Do you think these escalations mean that a ceasefire is something that is not attainable at this point in time, that either side are not interested in actually negotiating a ceasefire?
The targets are still far away. Ceasefire would never happen now. It was announced today by Netanyahu. He announced that there will be no ceasefire as long as our targets are not achieved and the residents of northern Israel are not in peace. Hence, Hezbollah missiles are still targeted towards Israel, and now there are lots of displaced people. So Hezbollah's missiles are still increasing. So security in northern Israel will never be achieved. Of course, there will be no ceasefire. This is confirmed until the northern of Israel is secured, and Hezbollah is insisting on 1701 without any amendment. So the escalation is coming. The battlefield is the one that will decide the agreements, which is so early now.
Okay, but also the U.S. Special Envoy to Lebanon, Amos Hochstein, arrived in Beirut yesterday in the latest efforts to achieve a ceasefire. And the UN he said that the UN resolutions are the basis for a ceasefire in Lebanon. How does that fit into the ceasefire bid of Blinken?
It's known that His visit yesterday was mainly folklore. 1701 as it is, and Israel and Netanyahu are insisting on the amendment of 1701, and both parties' goals are not achieved yet. So the visit of Blinken or Hoxton or whoever, they are here for two main reasons, which is before the American elections, and if they manage to achieve a ceasefire, he improves Harris's chances in winning the US elections because Trump is advancing her. In addition, another main goal for this visit is to separate the arenas. Maybe after the killing of Sinwar, they try to separate the Lebanese front from the Gaza front, which has not been achieved. That's why it's a failure, because it's known that 1701 will not go easy.
Well, sir, you brought up the idea of the 1701 resolution in general. So can we discuss this more? The amendments that the Israelis want, do you think this is something that they can attain, or is it something that is, not good for the Lebanese people in general? I'm assuming that the Israelis are trying to pressure changes or amendments because of, the recent strikes where they've hit several, leaders in Hezbollah and managed to assassinate them. Can they pressure the Hezbollah side to back down, and is it something that the international community will accept?
Please. The amendments are essential. Hezbollah believe that they deserve some things before the battle, and of course they ask that the amendments would not affect the Lebanese sovereignty, and they do not want Israel to increase its control or domination inside Lebanon through international forces because they failed to implement their previous mission in Lebanon. In addition to the most important issue, which is the missiles that Hezbollah own. These things need a project that is not ready to be implemented. Hezbollah, with its potential, is still ready, and they even drag the Israeli forces inside Lebanon to deter them and achieve the balance of deterring. Because Hezbollah only has a power of deterring, and not today or not tomorrow. Hezbollah will never make any political settlement, so they are waiting because this is their battlefield.
Okay, unfortunately, sir, I totally understand the point you're trying to make, that Hezbollah will not back down and Israel won't back down, but we're out of time for this segment of the episode. So, Mr. Marcel Baloji, a military and strategic expert joining us from Beirut, thank you so much for your insights, and thank you for joining us here on Q.